Good
Hello,
day, sir.
hello, John. Th-
Hello, is
Can,
it Pavel?
yes,
All
can
right.
can you hear me well?
Yes. Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you very much, John, for your time and for everything. Okay, John.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm not sure how you found me.
No, just your voice. It's going to be an interview for Russian-speaking audience, so I'm going to translate it for um, for my blog and for site, probably for my book. Okay, John. So my English is not perfect. If you don't understand something, just let me know, please.
Okay, thank you. And this is going on Verbnyak.com.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
very
it's
good. And you're creating another book currently?
yes, John, and it's project like called Successful Thinking, about how to start your own business, about how people make success in their lives, and we're going to talk about this with you.
Okay,
Uh,
very good.
yeah, John, 3 years ago I've read your book Integrity is Everything, and I just thought, oh, I would love to record an interview and to talk with you. So I just wrote you on Facebook, and thank you very much for your reply and for your time.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Yes,
Hmm.
I'm happy to contribute,
Yeah.
especially to the right thinking of society and the betterment of the general thought pool.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
very good.
And I've noticed that you're currently living in Park City, Utah, and two years ago I've lived there as well, John, for about 1.5 months. It
Oh,
was
wow.
international exchange program, and I've stayed in host family, and I love city and love counties, very nice mountains, and that's beautiful.
Oh, wonderful. So you know the environment that I am in right now.
Yes, yes. Okay. Hello again, John. I'm just to for my audience. Okay.
Yes.
Today I'm going to talk with very interesting, successful entrepreneur, happy husband, father, an author, speaker, and coach, John Lavenia. John, thank you very much again. Is
Thank
that
you.
is that right? I told everything right?
Oh, yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay, John, could you please tell a little bit about yourself? What do you do exactly for a living? I've searched a couple of your websites, and could you tell us about this?
Yes, no problem.
Hmm.
And let me know if I'm talking too fast or need to repronounce any words.
Uh-huh.
I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Uh, my currently, most of what I do has to do with assisting people in creating online businesses.
Hmm.
I found that from the early part of my life that most people, including myself in my early years, lacked abundance, lacked sound methods of creating prosperity. And so took, I basically made this my own mission to be someone who's responsible for my own success and my own evolution. And on the path, I discovered that I was also someone who could teach what I've learned to
Hmm.
others in a way that they could understand and apply it. So that's
Hmm.
what I have dedicated most of my time to,
Hmm.
is the expansion of prosperity consciousness and prosperity itself
Yes.
in the lives of anyone who's willing to learn and accept responsibility for their own progress. I do most of my work now online, although I have also created, as you know, several books,
Yes.
publications,
Hmm.
blogs, videos. I do a lot of videos, and these are aimed at people with an entrepreneurial mindset, a self-reliant mindset, And I suspect, since I've been rather successful, that it's being well received by people who are uh, dissatisfied with
Mm-hmm.
the status quo, dissatisfied with mediocrity, and who would rather embrace communication and teachings from a community of people who are more progressive thinkers. And I am a part of those types of communities. So I think that's a broad answer, but that encompasses the many projects that I'm involved in. Everything is based on that purpose of
Mm-hmm.
expanding prosperity for as many people as I can touch in my time on this planet.
I see. John, and when did you decide to become an entrepreneur, and um, what were first steps to success in this field? Because I know you worked for companies and then you have decided I would like to work for myself. And when did you start? You're you I know you develop yourself and you're in personal development for more than about 30 years. And what what your steps did you make?
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Uh, yes, I've been developing myself and my ability to basically get what I want in life for well over 25 years,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the entry or the on-ramp
Yes.
to entrepreneurship. I found that being effective in one area of my life or becoming successful in one area of my life, I could take the principles that worked in one area and apply them to other areas.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, for me, it was mostly just about not being so miserable.
Yeah.
It was about having a bit more, self-esteem and
Mm-hmm.
self-image type of things. And then, as that solidified, we turn to, as Abraham Maslow talks about in his hierarchy of needs, we
Mm-hmm.
turn to other desires in life. And one of those things is
Yes.
abundance and prosperity and stuff like that, not just mere survival. So the bridge that I crossed from employee to entrepreneur as a natural order of applying self-reliant, self-determined thinking, I crossed that bridge originally in the 1990s, actually in the music business,
Mm-hmm.
which was by some perspectives a hobby, and yet it was because I was managing a band, it was quite entrepreneurial. Now that was not a big financial success, but it was in many ways an entrepreneurial success. From there, I wound up quitting my job that I was working and entering the world of home-based business
Mm-hmm.
and also franchising. I was involved in a franchise, which was a big step for me because it involved borrowing well over $100,000 and investing many hours to create some sort of traction with that business. And I did that for some years, and then basically stopped. I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. It was not a fun thing for me, and it was very laborious. And I got into more of home-based business, direct selling, things like that, and did not have much success
Mm-hmm.
for years, despite having studied good principles and on-purpose activity and all the things that are ultimately going to produce success in life. I had some learning to do, so I applied persistence. I guess would be the most obvious virtue
Mm-hmm.
that I applied, and ultimately I got to a point where I had learned enough. I had gone through my learning curve to the point where I started seeing some actual livable results, things that I could
Mm-hmm.
live with. And that was not an easy path, by the way. I'll tell you, Pavel, that in our current society, we have quite often a consumer mentality where we want everything to be done for us and everything to be easy. But I will put your attention on the fact that people who succeed in business and in life are producers. They're not consumers, okay? So
Yeah.
the majority of my learning experience was learning how to be a producer and not just keep thinking like a consumer or an employee, which was the majority of the thinking that I was surrounded by through much of my young life. So in other words, my learning curve was the process of unlearning habitual ways of non-productive thinking, which caused the majority of the society that I lived in and continue to live in to be in a state of chronic mediocrity. That was the big bridge that I had to cross. Now, there is a time to be a consumer when I want to go buy something and I'm not the creator of that product. Well, then I'm the consumer, and that's wonderful. And I appreciate the producers who produced good things for me to buy. But when it comes to entrepreneurial success, we have to take off the consumer hat and put on the producer hat, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that was the big shift for me. I realized that that once again in my life, I must accept responsibility for my own evolution. And I did, and I evolved, and it was wonderful, and I made millions. And that's the next thing you know. What's interesting about that is because I had. Here's one of my favorite words, integrity, because I had integrity to my own vision, because I did not live in a state of disconnect between what I identified myself as being and what I actually did with my life. In other words, I resided more and more in a state of wholeness and no longer being diminished in who I was. I was acting on my own vision.
Yes.
I wasn't just paying lip service to it because I had integrity to myself. Then, once I became successful, once I started demonstrating successful results, people started asking me for my secrets. My secrets. They wanted my secrets. And so after some years of people asking me for my secrets and me doing seminars and expounding on, the virtues of entrepreneurship, and basically sharing the same information that everyone else had heard. I heard it too. The difference was that I acted on it. I had some integrity. So after some years of that, I wrote the book, Integrity is Everything, to give everyone my secrets, which aren't secrets, so they could, if they want to, they could just do what I've done and not just sit around and keep talking about it, wondering why they're not getting results because they're not acting on it. So that was the core philosophy that I applied, is you already, in many cases, you already know what to do. You're just not doing it. And I'm not pointing the finger at you specifically. You're obviously, you're doing stuff right now. You've got a blog, you've got books, you're interviewing me. So that's wonderful. So there's some high integrity activity going on. But for the most part, in society, the problem is not a lack of ability, it's a lack of integrity. And if we allow that lack of integrity to be the norm, in other words, that is what is standard and acceptable, and we can consent to that, no one will hold you to account for being out of integrity with yourself. If that becomes the norm, and it currently has, then that degrades ability. Then that's what's called the dumbing down. The dumbing down, and people become less and less able. So now we're in a position, and I know this is not directly answering your question, but this is what evolved from your question and from my answer. Now we have the dumbing down of society, where people are less and less able to even think for themselves. They're on drugs. They watch an average of 5 hours of television per day here in the United States. It's spectacularly stupid. To behold it as a thinking individual, to observe it, it's spectacularly bad, and yet it's quite normal and quite acceptable in society. So So who am I? I'm here to balance that by putting people's attention once again on the fact that they are powerful, they are able, they just have to, if they want to, they have to simply do what I've done and accept that responsibility, which was always theirs.
Oh,
Does that help?
yeah, that's great. Amazing answer. Thank you, John. John, and yeah, I would like to ask more about your book. Integrity is everything, and you just said almost everything I wanted to ask you.
Thank
John,
you.
about 6 years ago, when I started personal development, learned from the experts about success and business, my life changed completely. And I know you're passionate about growing yourself as a person, growing yourself physically, and you're very good sportsman, and uh, you like gym, I know, and extreme sports. John, what is exactly developing yourself, and why this can change the lives of others?
Okay. Are you asking me about physical fitness?
Yeah, and physical and personal development. It's just two sides of the growing process.
Okay. So the mental and also the physical.
Yes.
Okay. Well, obviously, to any thinking person, mental or intellectual development is completely you can't live without it. What's the word
Mm-hmm.
that I'm looking for? It's a indispensable part of successful living, and here's why.
Mm-hmm.
Our thoughts, especially our chronic habitual thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
dictate our emotional state,
Yes.
and our emotional state dictates and precludes our actions, the decisions we make and the actions we take. Therefore, to get to the root of right action or incorrect action, we must simply look at our thoughts. Now, thoughts are obviously causative, but the thoughts that we chronically think are typically the effect, not the cause, but the effect of environmental influences.
Mm-hmm.
And those influences could be circumstance,
Yes.
pleasing or unpleasing. For a lot of people, most often it's unpleasing. They could be peers, and quite often they are. There's a study that reveals that your income, for example, will
Mm-hmm.
be the average of your closest group of friends. Let's say
Mm-hmm.
it's your
Absolutely.
closest group of 5 or 10
Yeah.
associates or whatever.
Reference
And
group.
so that becomes sort of an accepted norm in that group.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in terms of performance levels in life, I look at it like this: we've got thoughts, okay, and those thoughts crystallize into our emotions, our
Mm-hmm.
emotional states. And let's say if we're most often thinking about things we don't like, now we're in lower emotional states like anger, fear, antagonism, apathy in some cases. And from those positions, we make decisions or fail to make decisions, and based on those decisions, we act. So you see how critical thoughts are
Mm-hmm.
in this whole process of determining right action or failing to take right action. Assuming that we are responsible for our own thinking, and I've heard that that is the only thing that we really have true dominion over in this life, is the thoughts that we think, which once again shape our emotional states, and in fact attract our circumstances that we want or don't want.
Mm-hmm.
If we have dominion over that, and if we are responsible for that, and if in fact the purpose of the will, the mental faculty known as will, if the purpose of that is to choose the right thoughts, then once again the responsibility for becoming successful sits squarely on the individual to choose not only the environments in which they will get beneficial thoughts, where they will be able to resonate with higher level thinking, and pleasing circumstances, and things like hope and ambition and service and enthusiasm, things like that. Not only is that our responsibility, but now it's also our responsibility to do that persistently enough that it becomes a habit. Albert E.N. Gray, and that's Gray, Albert E.N. Gray, said to a group of Prudential Insurance representatives back in, I think it was the 1950s here in the United States, he said that the common denominator of success in all areas of life, the common denominator of success is that successful people are in the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. Not because they like to do these things, by the way, but because they do them anyway, because they've got goals that are worth being uncomfortable to get. In other words, they go after pleasing results and they subordinate pleasing or unpleasing methods. In other words, the results are more important than the methods. They're willing to do the work, which may not be fun, especially at first if we have to learn new things. They're willing to do the work because their goal, which they know their goal, okay, and because their goal is more important than them being comfortable and watching more television or something.
Yeah.
Or, drinking alcohol, taking drugs, and basically being ignorant, like the majority of their environment is. So that's the mental side of it. And that's actually the work, Pavel. That is the work.
Yes.
The work is, who are you? The work is, who are you becoming by the virtue of your thoughts, your chronic habitual thoughts. That is the main work. There's a three-word principle, which I've benefited from greatly, which has originated in antiquity. This is nothing new, but it's basically three words. It's be, do, and have. Be, do, and have. And so Johann Goethe, back in the 1800s, German philosopher Goethe, said that one must be something in order to do something. So when we get to the physical side of success, you're talking about physical fitness and these sort of things. When we get to the physical side of it, many people are very concerned with the doing of things. I want to have these results, therefore what do I do to have these results? And once, as I already indicated, quite often what they have to do is not pleasing or necessarily fun at first. And they've got to execute, new methods. They've got to apply new energy to things that they didn't previously do. This is developing new habits. But all of that rests on the fact that who is doing it is more important than what they're doing itself. So think of it this way. If I work on myself mentally, if I develop my thinking and my emotional state, I accept responsibility for that. I gain control over my emotional state. I use the will to choose the right thoughts in the face of any circumstances, to reside more consistently in a powerful state of enthusiasm, strength, and accomplishment, confidence, certainty, these things that are essential for success, these emotional states. And from those emotional states, I make decisions about what I'm going to do. And make note of this, a decision is a decision. It's a cutting off point. It's not a whimsical thing. It's not something that we change every 5 minutes. A decision comes from the Latin decidere, which means to cut off. Most people don't make decisions. Okay, so if we are a powerful person in our thinking and in our emotional state, and we make powerful decisions in that emotional state, in that clarity, and then we act on those decisions, then we find that we're taking right action. So being precedes doing, and doing precedes having. We want to have, let's say, a fit, healthy body. I know here in my country, we have something like 63% obesity. Just, again, spectacularly bad. I use the word spectacular in its literal sense. Like, take a look at this. This is something to see. Just look. Okay, it is a spectacle. And so here we have 63% obesity, and people taking diet pills and chasing diet fads and reading about celebrity gossip where this person got slim and fit using the magic tricks of the stars, and I mean, a lot of dumbing down has been going on. At the same time, we've got the poisoning of society through government-subsidized, basically non-foods. Non-foods are what we're talking about. High fructose corn syrup and monosodium glutamate, and just the poisoning of society. Couple that with drugs, which slow the metabolism, and you've got a mountain that's almost insurmountable. This mountain of, in the case of physical health, right? Because people are poisoned, and the people that are poisoned are not even thinking about being poisoned. I'll quote Goethe again when he said, "None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free." So what we have to do is break free, first, of the thinking, and that's through personal growth, and then we have to install, because we've become new, better, more able, more high integrity people, more ethical people, ethical to ourselves, okay? Now we must act on that and find ourselves in habitual actions which serve us, like, for example, eat some raw vegetables, do some exercise. This is not a difficult thing to figure out for any thinking person. But then again, most people are not thinking. Okay, so the physical aspect of it, once we start to take that action, and understand that, like Ralph Waldo Emerson said, do the thing and you'll get the energy to do the thing. Okay, so it's not like we're all going to be excited now that we're in new action. Again, successful people, like Albert Gray said, are in the habit of doing things failures don't like to do. Well, nobody likes to do these things at first, so you do them anyway. So you show up and you do some exercise, and it's painful and it's uncomfortable, and that's okay, but you have a goal, and you want that goal more than you want to be comfortable. So you do it anyway. You do the thing, and then you get the energy to do the thing. Now you show up again. You do it again. Why? Why is because you've got a goal. Okay? Because you want it bad enough. Bad enough to have some integrity, and bad enough to divorce yourself or extricate yourself, in some cases, from the environments and the chronic thinking that goes on in those environments that kept you stuck in the first place. It's truly a departure from the herd mentality or the tribe mentality. You see, Pavel, most people are so obsessed with gaining agreement from their peers, which doesn't serve them, but it does give them the opportunity, I guess, to be social and to have agreement, to be accepted. And of course, we're social creatures. Nobody wants to go through life in a state of chronic disagreement. Although I guess that is a possibility, especially when you spend a lot of time thinking about reality, like I do. And yes, I've been out of accord with the majority of the thinking that I see in society. Again, does that make me special? No, that just makes me a person who's willing to look and observe the obvious. So in terms of physical fitness, here's the upward spiral. You've heard of downward spirals or vicious cycles. This is an upward spiral. So we took right thought, we gained a higher emotional state, we made a decision, we actually became able to do that, then we acted on that decision, which reveals that in fact we did make a decision, because if we didn't act on it, we never really made the decision. We acted on that decision repeatedly and persistently to the point where it became somewhat habitual. And now, because we're seeing our circumstances change, like in the case of physical fitness, oh look, I'm getting more slim and fit and healthy and energetic. Now we've got what? Now we've got a more able vehicle, in this case the body. We've got a more able vehicle with which to study and advance, and we look in the mirror and we see a pleasing result. Our self-image, our self-esteem goes up. This is the upward spiral. Now we have a more high integrity, a more able person who can then think, decide, and act. And that's all there is to it. But again, it all rests on the individual to take responsibility for their own thinking, because through that whole process, they will be, not might be, they will be surrounded with countless opportunities to get off track, to get distracted, to be seduced back into the ways of comfort ease, and consumerism. And that is exactly what we want to avoid and shut out of our mind any negative thinking that will take us off of our course, which is bringing us directly toward our goal. In this case, our goal may be physical fitness, it may be more pleasing relationships, it may be success in entrepreneurship, whatever. But that is the upward spiral. We celebrate every win and we shut out the negative. And by celebrating every win, I mean observing it at least as long as we observe the negative circumstances that are always available everywhere we look to take us off course. Does that help?
Yes, John, thank you very much. That's great. And you just talked about two important universal laws. It's the law of attraction and the law of cause and effect. So a lot of people think that, or my life doesn't get better, but what they should do is to transform themselves inside. So from inside to outside. It never their life don't become better if they don't become better as a person. Do you agree with this, John?
Yes, I'm hearing a lot of banging going on.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what that is? Microphone banging or something?
Okay. What about now?
Oh, okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Something was banging.
Anyway,
yes, I agree with the idea that thought precedes action.
Yeah.
I guess there are some philosophies that would challenge that, and I don't spend a whole lot of time arguing that point. I believe thought is causative. In fact, I know it is.
Yes.
You can get to a point just by observing life where you can see the truth of living just by participating and actually observing it. And you mentioned cause and effect, which Emerson called the law of laws. You think about it like this: effects don't create effects. Causes create effects. So back to the idea of consumerism. And business, let's say, like what I teach people in entrepreneurship and running online businesses and things like this, a lot of people approach the idea of, let's say, a business opportunity, and with the hopes of increased, financial gain, and they saw the testimonials, they saw the success stories, and they want that. They want more abundance, more time, more options in their life, and that's all wonderful. We all want that. Psychologists say that to the degree that a person feels like they are in control of their life, to that degree they have peace of mind. Okay, so that's fine. We all want that. We all want the freedom. However, many people approach that as if it's a lottery, where they don't. Once again, they don't have to actually produce something. They suspect they might have to, but they're hoping that enough has been done for them that there is some magical system or easy button that they can press, remain a consumer, and yet reap the rewards of a high producer, which is the rewards that were demonstrated to them by other high producers when they saw the sales pitch or whatever. So the responsibility, once again, is on the individual to make the transition from chronic consumer thinking, which I would call effect, to producer thinking, which I would call that cause. So causes create effects. Effects don't create effects. And Pavel, we can read entire books on personal effectiveness and still remain an effect ourselves. Because think about it, when we're taking in the ideas of other people, just like people reading this interview or listening to it or whatever they're doing to receive this, right now they are the effect of what I'm saying. I am the cause of what I'm saying. Absolutely. So the fact that someone even took a look at becoming more effective because they read the book or something does not make them cause. They're still the effect of whatever they just read. Now they must apply, now they must originate some action, some thinking on their own. They must induce some reasoning and not simply deduce, the difference between inductive and deductive reasoning. So they must now become the cause themselves in order to actually be effective. So think about that. We could reduce the whole library of effective personal, production and personal effectiveness. We can reduce all of that to two words. It's cause and effect. Therefore, the greatest self-help book ever written is the dictionary, because rather than getting caught in semantics and countless volumes of study to figure out how to be more effective, we could just look at the dictionary and look at or the thesaurus, which tells us similar words and opposite words, and we can look up effect, and then we can see that the opposite clearly is cause, and there's the answer. There's the answer right there. You want to be more effective? Be more causative.
Yeah.
It's the same damn thing. Okay, so who's in control? Who's in control? Well, most often, not the person. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's all we're looking to do with my work, is rehabilitate the integrity of the individual to simply accept responsibility for their own evolution. That's it. And that doesn't sound like that big of a deal. But again, if we look, what did George Bernard Shaw say? He said, 2% of people think, 3% think they think, and 95% would rather die than think.
Yeah, thinking is the most hardest work. Probably Mark Twain said that.
Henry Ford.
Henry Ford
said, thinking is the hardest work there is.
Absolutely.
Which is probably why so few people engage in it.
Absolutely, John. So, as you said, our thoughts is cause, and from your words, it's because so important to control our thoughts and words, because we become what we think about most of the time. That's perfect. You told about this. Yes, and John, you mentioned a couple of books and couple of great thinkers of past times, and who are your mentors, role models, if you have any, and maybe you can say something about your favorite books.
Sure. Most of my mentors are not on the planet right now. People like Benjamin Franklin,
Yeah.
Jesus of Nazareth. I would say some of the greatest thinkers in history, like Johann Goethe, Ralph Waldo Emerson,
Absolutely.
L. Ron Hubbard,
Uh-huh.
who I know is a rather controversial figure, but some of the ideas that this guy promulgated to the world, just profound. What else? I would say, as far as more modern teachers, I would say Steve Covey in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I think that was one of the best books ever written on personal effectiveness.
Yeah, Brian Tracy.
Yeah, certainly Napoleon Hill, who did not have an easy time of it. Napoleon Hill had many torments in his life, and still produced some of the greatest work on personal achievement ever written.
Absolutely, Think and Grow Rich.
I would also have to say, in terms of 20th century writers, Dorothea Brande, who wrote Wake Up and Live, which is out of print. It's been out of print for a while, but I have an original copy here from 1936. This was written during the Great Depression. And I like her thinking because it resonates with mine very much in the fact that she observed what's known as a tacit consent, an unspoken consent in society concerning mediocrity. In other words, I won't hold you to account if you don't hold me to account for not going after my goals, for not fulfilling, for not succeeding, for not completing what I started. The first 4 chapters of that book are all about how great failure is. It's really wonderful. And so I like that sort of bold, thinking and bold writing. In fact, one of my brands is bold statement marketing. I just don't. I don't like to sugarcoat things. I'd rather help people get results than sit there and be comfortable. And which leads me to this other statement that I'm about to say, and that is that much of the modern writing, in other words, in the past 50 years, I find really limp and useless. Most of it is about marketing and getting books on some bestseller list,
Uh-huh.
like that's somehow important because lots of other people bought it, now I should buy it. Again, we're effect, right? We're not cause.
Uh-huh.
We're conforming to what everybody else thinks we should read.
Yeah.
And most of the writing is really bad. It's dumbed down. And if you look at the English language, for example, in the written word over the past 50 to 70 years, it's gotten dumber and dumber. So again, I look to people who have passed from this planet for most of the teachings. Now, in terms of my peers, I have mentors in different areas of my life, role models.
Yeah.
My wife is one of those people. My wife taught me and continues to teach me how to be a bit more gracious. In other words, forgiving and unattached and friendly in the face of ignorance and the foibles of other people. That's also something that Benjamin Franklin did. He passed off people's shortcomings and focused more on their virtues. And so my wife does that very well. I've got other friends in business that are mentors to me in terms of how-to kind of things, how to do certain marketing techniques and strategies and things like this, which are ever changing, and they must be modern.
Absolutely.
Okay, so not to invalidate, the modern thinker or the idea of having modern mentors and contemporaries in modern life, but just to pick them carefully based on observable results. The old saying from the Bible, by their fruits you will know them. So I tend to observe and spend my time around people who have observable fruits of success. And I think that's not hard to do, to pick those people. Like, for example, if people work with me, they can see, because I'm very transparent, because I don't have any filter really between what I think and what I do and what I say. I say it. I wrote a whole book about it, and so they could see. They want a highly successful, high integrity person that refuses to play the game of dishonesty or all the things that people are afraid of right now in the business marketplace. Well, they can work with me, and then I make that easily observable. And so I would say for anyone looking for mentorship, which is so essential, so I'm glad you asked me about that. Study the great thinkers, and they can be your mentors. You can even have imaginary conversations with these people. That's something that Napoleon Hill did, by the way.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and at the same time, seek to surround yourself and immerse yourself in an environment where right thinking is happening, and you'll know that it's happening because you'll see the results.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as Napoleon Hill wrote in his book, sometimes he imagined that, I have some situation and difficulty. What Abraham Lincoln would do in this situation, or something like this. You told right now about this, John. And about people and mentors, I like the words from Ralph Waldo Emerson. He said that every person I met something better than me, and so I can teach from him. And you just said the same, probably.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, John, you have you mentioned your system, bold statement marketing. What is exactly, John? How this system can help people?
Well, bold statement marketing is just one of my brands, and we have internet marketing systems where we teach people how to make money online. It's as simple as that. Using products that are already made, products that help people expand their influence and their reach in the digital marketplace, which is something that anyone who is looking to be successful financially in any sort of a business must address. The whole idea of marketing, especially online, where there's a lot of confusion and a lot of overwhelm. So we simplify that process and show people a profitable way to shortcut or eliminate a lot of the confusion that is typically present en route to getting a successful online business going. So that's what we do, and then people can use that as a stepping stone to develop their own brands or to expand what they're currently doing if they're currently running any sort of a business, or they could start fresh with us and have everything in place where they can not have to go through much of the complication involved in getting an online business going.
Okay.
So, and it's been very profitable. We have people making upwards of $100,000 per month U.S. With our systems and our products.
Okay, John. So people can watch free presentation on boldstatementmarketing.com. Is that right?
Sure. They can go to boldstatementmarketing.com, click the button that says Work with John, and I'll be happy to show them exactly what we're doing to make all this money and how they can participate.
Okay, great. Thank you. John, I know you're great in goal setting. Can you please share some keys and ideas about methods of planning and goal setting? What you use in your life?
The simplest way to set a goal is what I call the SMART method, which is an acronym, SMART, and it means specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely.
Yes.
And what that basically means is that if you want something specific, let's say, for example, a new car, we'll use something tangible. So you want a specific automobile. Okay, well, what is that automobile, make, model, color, options, everything specifically about what kind of a car you're looking to acquire. Measurable would be the quantifiable amount of, in this case, money. We're talking about a physical object, so money. How much money does that cost? How much money must you earn to acquire that specific goal? This makes it easy to track whether or not we're moving in the right direction. Okay, achievable means that it's something that the individual believes that they could actually get if they were motivated enough to take the action to get it. And the way we discover if something is achievable is how it feels to us in terms of seeing ourselves already in possession of it. Can we see ourselves, can we picture ourselves having that experience of, in this case, driving that automobile? And also, by looking for evidence of what other people have accomplished makes it more achievable in our own mind. So the question is, does anyone else on planet Earth drive that automobile? And if the answer is yes, well, now it's more achievable, right? Because other people did it, so can I. R is relevant, and this may be the most important point in goal setting. And the question is, how will I feel now that I've accomplished this goal? Notice that I'm addressing the idea of accomplishment as if it's already done. It's present. It's not some future possibility. It's, all right, now that I've accomplished this, how does that feel? How does that feel? And so when we get into, because everything's about experience, right? It's not about the car itself. It's about the experience of ownership, of actually driving the automobile and all that. So how does it feel to have accomplished that goal? And this is where a lot of people sort of stop because, oh, it would feel great, or it would feel nice, or whatever. Well, that's not really what we're looking for. What we're looking for are emotional states. Like earlier we talked about thought precedes emotion, right? So think about this. So think about this. You're driving that car. You bought the car. You paid cash for it. You made the money. Congratulations. How does that feel? Oh, you've accomplished something. Oh, I feel accomplished. I feel grateful to have accomplished this thing. I feel confident now that I can accomplish more things. I feel certain in my ability to get what I want. Certainty, right? Enthusiasm, excitement, right? So these are the feelings, and this is the why behind the goal. Like, why do you want that automobile? Relevance. Okay, so what this means is that no one can set your goal for you. This is very personal. This is a very individual activity. Even though your goal may be, let's say in the example of the car, to be able to drive your family to to outings and restaurants and vacations, holiday, whatever. So that includes other people. So that's wonderful. But still, it's your emotions that we're talking about here.
Absolutely.
And part of that could include, doing pleasing things for your loved ones. So that's relevant. And then finally, timely, which simply means that we put some sort of a timeline on it, because work expands to fill the time allowed for it. And there will always be something more urgent, not more important, but more urgent than you reaching your goals. Distractions abound, right? Everywhere you look, there's distractions. And so, as Steve Covey said, the things which matter most should never be at the mercy of things which matter least. So we have to prioritize, right? And so this may mean cutting out other things that eat up our time, which do not move us in the direction of our goals. So we have to set a deadline or a timeline. And that's a guess, by the way. That's not written in stone. We're guessing, because after all, if we knew exactly how much time it would take to reach every goal, then we would be psychic, we would have mental powers and all that, and we would already know how to reach the goal, and therefore we would have already reached it. So it's a bit of a mystery. Time is the great mystery. And however, if we don't set a deadline, then work goes on and on and on, and we never get it done. So.
Just a wish without deadline is just a wish.
Yeah.
John, and I found my notebook, and I just watched it. There were a list of goals I set 5 or 6 years ago, and 80 or 90% of this I've achieved. So I don't know how, but it's, as you said, it's like mysterious. And now 6 months ago I've started to write my goals every morning. So I program my subconscious mind, and I can grow in any areas of my life much faster. So it's amazing. Goal setting is great.
Yeah, well, thank you for doing that, and thank you for please keep me in mind when you're even more rich and famous than you are now, because I can tell you right now you're a very successful person to do that. Less than 3% of people even have a written goal. Here you are writing it every day. That's wonderful. I have to applaud you on that. Congratulations.
Thank you, John. And one of my favorite mentors is Brian Tracy. Taught me this. So I've met him personally a couple of times here in Moscow, and this idea just transformed my life completely. So goal setting, personal development, and 100% responsibility for my life is just probably 3 most important ideas that I use every day.
Very good.
Yeah, John, and do you have a big goal or personal mission, and how would you like to be remembered for future generations?
That's a great question, and I have oscillated, meaning I've gone back and forth with this idea for a while in terms of leaving a legacy. And I come back to purpose. In other words, my life is about fulfilling a purpose to whatever extent I can in the amount of time that I'm walking around in this body as John Lavenia. So it's not so much about being remembered as John Lavenia, but it's about creating value in the world that outlasts my body. And however people remember that, whether they remember that or not, I guess is up to them. But my role in all this is to create value. And again, the purpose itself, as I mentioned earlier, is to expand prosperity consciousness and prosperity itself with as many people as I could touch in my time on this planet. So that's what I do. Will I fulfill that? Like, will I run out of purpose before I run out of body life? I don't think so. There's a lot of opportunity on the planet, and I'm just one of the messengers. And so I think that that's a lifelong purpose, which will continue to be available. That opportunity will continue to be available to other thinkers and other leaders once I've left this plane of expression. But that's it. I see it as something much bigger than me. And the goals en route to that are things that serve me and others. But the purpose is the main thing that I focus on. When I'm thinking, okay, sometimes when I'm not thinking, I'm not focused on the purpose. I'm focused on all the problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just have to get refocused on the purpose, and then get back to work, right? And that's what my life is about, you know. And for some people, that may sound not fun or something, but I'll tell you, what is work? It's on-purpose action. What is the opposite of work? It's action without a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I just choose to be in purpose. Therefore, I work a lot, okay? And it's not work in the way that a lot of people consider work a bad word. It's just on-purpose activity. That's what I'm here to do. So I don't do a whole lot of diversions. You know what I mean? I've got a big reason here, and I'm fulfilling that reason. And that's, if I was going to be remembered for anything, it would be the value that I offered, and that people took up and cultivated for themselves based on something they may have learned from me by my teachings and by my example. Probably most importantly, by my example.
Absolutely.
And so I strive to be the best example that I can be, and continue to develop my own integrity, which, by the way, is not perfect. When I wrote the book, I wrote it, you know, from an ideal standpoint, admitting many of my own shortcomings. I openly said that I'm no one's guru and that I have not arrived. As soon as I'm levitating and manifesting fish and loaves and doing miracles, I'll let you know that I've arrived, but I have not arrived yet.
Yes. John, and what some advices you can give to those people who want to succeed in life as you are, and what ideas you can share with this?
In addition to everything we've already talked about, Pavel, I would
Yes,
say,
yeah, just two or three ideas your most favorite probably.
here it is. Here's the whole philosophy in one sentence. Are you ready? Decide who you are and be that.
Wow. Yes, that's simple.
Yeah.
Great, great. John, thank you very much for being with us, for sharing wisdom and ideas, and I'm very grateful to have this conversation with you, and thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure, Pavel, and I look forward to seeing more of your work, and I appreciate all that you're doing for your readers and your listeners in Russia and abroad. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. I'll let you know about downloading this interview on YouTube and on my website, and I'll let you know what. I'll keep in touch.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Okay, well, I'm going to get back to some work here. Actually, I'm going to go to the gym and lift weights.
Oh, great. I just did this recently, like 2 months or 2 hours ago.
Oh, very good.
Okay, John. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and best wishes to you, to your wife and daughter Trinity, and all the best to you. God bless you.
God bless you. Thank